get a bye, it's always a worry because the team who played the night before usually has momentum. I don't know if it's one game. If it's two games, by game three, fatigue sets in. But in one game, I think the excitement, you've been on the court and this and that, so that's always a concern. We've had really good teams that got beaten the first night. And I think the difference, too, is this year, compared to how it used to be back in the day, they're just more good teams. I mean, they're just more good teams. So it used to be the best teams got the byes, and then it was the rest of the group. Now there's a lot of best teams that didn't get byes. And so I think it's going to be a very competitive set of games. Let me think what else I wanted to say about that. I think we're in a decent spot in where we're going. I mean, down a little bit, with Divine out. Sometimes you're starting to see that, we're wearing down a little bit. We got to do a little bit better job with that. I think Cam Ward is still going to be a very important part of moving forward for us, and even Jesse some. We've got to get a little more play out of our bench, and we're going to try to work on that this week. We've had meetings with them and tried to make them realize how valuable and important they are in the near future. So questions I'll take, since I really don't have as much to say because there's three teams that we could play.
Hey, Tom, I know we're turning the page moving forward, but your post-game comments, Dusty's post-game comments talked about how each team made each team better. How important is that going into this time of year and when the rivalry brings all these things out, but to be able to be two great teams that really were able to improve from playing each other, how do you take that into this time right now?
Well, I think that's very true. I mean, anytime you play better competition, you either survive it or you fall. I mean, we didn't win the game, but we survived it. I mean, we did enough to be right in that game, and I think learned even more than we did the first time around. And going on the road, those 3 out of the last 4 games, I think taught us a lot. Having to win in hostile arenas and play in hostile environments. Believe it or not, the game against Rutgers, even though I screwed that up a little bit, I do think it helped us. I mean, I didn't screw it up a lot. I mean, they still made shots. The guards gave us trouble with their quickness in that, and maybe, there's some coverages we can change. So I think the way our last 4 games went, but definitely our game with Michigan, the one thing that I look at is who did you play? So who knows what the projections are, because those will change as the Big Ten tournament goes. But as I've said, we played UConn, we've played Michigan, we've played Duke. We've played 2 seeds were Illinois, we've played Illinois. 3 seeds could be Purdue. I'm just saying of those top 4 seeds, we'll have played 5 or 6 of those teams. And when you do that, played 3 number 1, almost bona fide, definite number 1 seeds. And, and didn't win any of them. But I think learned a lot from each one of them, and I think that'll make us better as this tournament and the next tournament come around.
Hey, Tom, Jordan's been starting for you for about a month now. How has he settled in? How has he handled sort of the physical and mental load? Not just saying yesterday or Sunday, but this whole month, have you sort of seen him take on that role?
I think Jordan Scott has been phenomenal. I really do. Now, he wasn't the other night. It was his first dip, which is good, because unlike society, failure is good. Struggling is good. If you're a competitor or if you're a motivated human being, failure makes you work harder. It makes you look at things differently. If you're just constantly going around and winning everything and getting your ribbon like everybody wants nowadays, I don't think that teaches you anything. So of all the people on my team, he has a sense of purpose and a sense of urgency for a freshman, sophomore, junior, and senior that, he can go through a walkthrough and there's a sense of urgency. And I do think he struggled in that last game. big time game. I mean, he starting on the road. That's part of the growth, the process, the journey of freshmen. And but I think of all the guys on my team, he's going to use that to his advantage. He's going to understand that. He's going to see that. But I've been really impressed with the fact that he's so much far ahead than I thought he would be coming in, and those kind of surprises are great.
Physical wear and tear and everything.
I think, he never complains, and so which I like. In other words, he's not using that. There's no excuses with him, and that's a great sign for a guy who's only 18 years old. And so I think Jordan. Mentally, when you play 31 games at this level compared to the 20 you played in high school, when you practice 130 days compared to, probably 60 in high school, sure, there's got to be a little mental and physical wear on them. But there's other freshmen around the country that are doing the same thing, number one. And number two, I'm proud to say that I think my guy can handle that just fine. I really am.
Tom, when we talk about tournament play and no room for my bads, mistakes, those sorts of things, I wonder in a conference tournament, is that sort of the big takeaway you can get from this sort of weekend? And are there other things that you learn from putting your guys in a conference tournament and seeing how they respond?
Well, when you put in a conference tournament that's got 1 seeds, 2 seeds, 3 seeds, and 4 seeds, I mean, somewhere in there, and then there's going to be 1 or 2 teams in the Big Ten tournament that will end up doing very well in the NCAA tournament. It just happens that way all the time. So I think no matter who we play, we are going to learn something. If you win them, that means you probably didn't have a lot of my bads. And if you lose them, then it doesn't have to be coach speak. It really happened. And sometimes people have to go through things and see them. You can lecture them, but until it happens to you. So I think either way, there are some learning and value to it, because I think either way, if you win, it means you've accomplished some of those things that the coaches have talked about and what happens in one and done time. If you lose, then you get to see firsthand, we didn't do this. Oh, by the way, we're going home. Somebody else is using the hotel tonight. So when it started, the Knights, the Cadies, the Clem Haskins, the guys that were my mentors, I don't think were in favor of it, okay? And then as we got better, I'm not sure I was in favor of it, because it seems like the only thing that can happen in that is bad things. You've already gone 20 games of the season and proved you're 1, 2, or 3, and now you got to reprove it again in 3 days. And that was the theory. And do you wear out? Do you do this? Do you do that? Probably are all true, but what you asked, the question you asked, when you play better competition under some tough times, meaning pressure, you do learn something. And so if there's a mistake at the lake over there near Chicago and you go home, you learn something, and hopefully that can be an advantage as you move forward to the NCAA tournament, when once you go home, you not only go home, but you hang up the sneakers. There's a difference. So it's like we get an opportunity to talk to them about what we think it takes, because one and done time is a lot different than the regular season. And we get to lecture that, talk it. Our seniors talked about it in a meeting yesterday. We had a team meeting. Our seniors and juniors, all 4 of them spoke up on what, it has to happen and what does happen. And I think those are just like great learning times, for guys. And if they buy in, they've learned some of it, and you still could lose. But, I mean, you're not losing because you turned the ball over 10 times in the first half. Or you're not losing because you didn't guard somebody well enough, or you didn't cut out well enough. You're losing because maybe that team is just better than you, and that's okay. But if you learn by mistakes, that's okay too. It's legal. Our society has made it illegal to fail. It's not only legal, sometimes it's good. It's really good when you can fail at something and still win. That would be the best case scenario to me, but I think the tournament there's so many good teams in it now. The hard part is you make it through this schedule with 20 games, and then you turn around and play 3 games in 3 days. And there's always the worry, and there is always the worry that you get to the championship game and then you're in the Thursday game on the road somewhere, wherever. There's always that worry. But you know what? It's a bigger worry when you're 50, 60, and 70 than it should be when you're 18, 19, and 20. So I think they should be excited about the opportunity they have. It's going to be great to get over there. There's going to be some incredible teams, coaches, great exposure. Who's got it better than us? It's really good.
I guess when you're in this position where you don't know who you're going to play Friday, do you kind of use this extra time, I guess, as a chance to self-scout, or do you kind of maybe do it as like this mini trial run for the NCAA tournament where you kind of have this group of teams you kind of have to look at, you know?
Well, the difference is in this one, we've already played all the teams, so that's a plus. You talk about working on you can do some of that. But in the NCAA tournament, chances are pretty good you haven't played any of the teams. And so you know you're playing the first night. We here, learning, stealing from Duke, we talk about winning the weekends. Because winning one game and losing the second, you know, a couple of alums are happy. I'm not, and neither are most of our people, because we've gotten our program to the point where it's important to win the weekend. So we will prepare for all 3 games when the NCAA starts, at least on Monday, hoping or assuming maybe you played Friday, Sunday, like we have a lot. Now, when you play Thursday and you're out in Arizona like we've done once, then there's not as much time for that. And so what you're doing is probably working on the first game on Monday and Tuesday, getting ready Wednesday and playing Thursday, but your staff and everybody else is really working on those other 2 games. So this game, you know, I think that there's a couple teams right now that are really playing well, you know, and you can tell by how they finished the year, you know. Where's Nebraska? Where's Purdue? Where's Michigan State? Where's UCLA? I mean, UCLA has been playing. They've played their best basketball lately. They've changed their lineup. That's, you know, but do I think a Rutgers or Minnesota could beat them? I do. Minnesota, I mean, they've been shocking. I mean, what are they? 10-10? Is that what they are in the league? No. 8-12. I mean, they're way better than people predicted. And he's done a hell of a job coaching them, and yet they don't have any depth at all. And so, but for the first game or the first or second game, not as critical. You know, you get TV timeouts that last somewhere 45 minutes to an hour each, so that, you know, you get time to rest. But, you know, then you get to the third and fourth game, as that's when it really affects you. So I think you can make an argument that Rutgers has been playing pretty well lately. Minnesota has been playing well, and they got a complicated offense, and sometimes they'll zone you more on defense. And I think UCLA, I think he's done a hell of a job since the Michigan State series. I think Mick's done as good a job as anybody in the league. Changed his rotation a little bit, got a guy healthy. You know, what's his name was really a good player before he got hurt. He was out a month. Scott and Sky, I mean, and he makes a difference on that team. So there'll be no sleep. There'll be nothing to feel good about. But this tournament has changed so much since it was 10 teams. I mean, now it's you know, there could be 9-10 teams that get in the NCAA tournament from the league. So half the league could be in the NCAA tournament. That's a little different than it used to be.
I wanted to ask you about Jeremy. He's named first team All Big Ten. Just the body of work that he's presented to this point in the season, and then moving forward, I mean, it's pretty obvious the elephant in the room is the technical fouls and that he's been picking up. How do you kind of emphasize the importance for him to stay on the court moving forward, especially that has to be eliminated?
Yeah, you know, I mean, I've had numerous talks with Jeremy. The last one was disappointing from the standpoint of, I know what happens, you get pushed. Now, let's be honest about it. If you want to talk about the elephant in the room, let's talk about the big elephant in the room. You know, when people bring attention to things that are, I mean, it would be like, I don't condone anything if anybody's trying to do certain things. Physical part of games can be physical part of games. But if you singled out somebody for holding in football, it's an offensive lineman, and you want to put that on him, he's holding every time. That's different than some of the stuff. But I use that. We're scrutinizing. There's other stuff that goes on in games that we're not scrutinizing as much. So what I told him is, he caused his own problem. Okay, he caused his own problem. And for the most part, I think since our game here, he had done a hell of a job. I really do. I mean, I think he's been better in a lot of ways. I think, you know, we met with him and talked to him, but I think some of the times too, he reacts to things, and you got to grow up and you got to grow out of that. And I feel comfortable that it's not going to happen. I really do, and I ain't worried about it happening. And if it does, I have to deal with it. You know, you can say, well, I didn't deal with it the way I wanted to. I dealt with it the way I felt that whole thing went. So I'm up for criticism too, and ready to take it, because I know the whole circumstances of the whole deal, which most of you don't, and that's okay. So don't take it as, I don't like the way the media picks clips. I do not condone anything. I don't think people are out to hurt people. I think the game is physical just because it's basketball, not football or hockey. You know, I decided that I was watching the Lightning play somebody the other day. Buffalo, it started when they dropped the puck and dropped the gloves. Is that how it started? And there were 15 fights. And I always said I want to be a football coach, so I called my hockey coach, and I said, you're the luckiest guy in America. I said, I decided that when I come back reincarnated, I want to be a hockey coach now, because you can just drop the gloves and fight, and nobody cares, and everybody expects it. And I'm making fun of it, and it's not something that I'm trying to joke about. I'm just telling you that I think Jeremy Fears has done an incredible job. He's improved his shooting. He's improved his basketball passing skills, his brain. He is very cerebral. If you want the truth, what I'm worried about most, and I spent an hour with him yesterday, I want him to become a better pit bull defender. So everybody wants me to have him off people. I want him to get meaner and get on people more. I need him to be more of a pit bull defender. If he does that, he takes his game to a whole nother level. I want him to push the ball every single time, because when he's in the open court and pushing the ball, we're a better team and he's a better player. So those are the two things that I'm worried about. The third one I've talked to him about, and I am, never say never, but I feel like he gets that he can't react to things, and we'll see, you know. And you know what? I don't even mind the question. I didn't mind the question you asked me at the game. I understand the question and what it's got to be for, but make sure you do your homework on everything that goes on, and then I'm really cool with it. But I'm cool with the question, and I'm cool with you asking Jeremy. He better give you a damn good answer.
One part about that, though, that I wanted to kind of touch on is his importance for you guys to be on the court, because, you know, obviously with Denham behind him, there's a drop-off.
There is a drop-off, and you're going to see Denham playing more. And again, I don't say this, it's really hard when you're coach's son, but he makes no mistakes. He guards really well. You don't value that. I do value that. And yet your point about on the court, I'll tell you what bothered me about the play. They get a foul on them because he pushed them in the back, right? we already had like 6 fouls, 5 fouls. So now he gets a foul on him, but he's not in foul trouble that often. But I think with 12 minutes and 50 seconds, they were in the bonus already. That bothered me more than him having another foul on him. So, yeah, you add them all up. Here, you want to talk about elephants? It was stupid. You know, is that a bad word? I don't know a lot of big, intelligent words, so stupid's my good word. It's stupid. He's got to get over it. He's got to get through it. But let's not make him out to be the axe murderer here either. Is that cool? Perfect.
Tom, I got 2 for you. First with Jesse, and obviously Michigan, bigger players. You needed him. He came in a couple stints for you. Indiana, a couple matchups before then less. Seems like he's in a similar spot to maybe Kerr was a year ago, where just the guys in front of him, you got numbers and whatnot. Maybe I'm wrong on that. But I'm wondering, in terms of knowing you'll need him now, knowing his importance probably to the program beyond this year, where his head is and how trying to keep him engaged.
We can't ever anymore, and those days are over, worrying about the program beyond. I am worried about the program beyond. I feel very confident in Jesse because Jesse works almost as hard as Jordan and Jackson. So Jesse's going to make incredible improvements. We've played some teams that we could play them more against Michigan. Probably should have played them a little bit more against Michigan, but we felt like we needed Coop and Jackson there. They were in pretty good shape, but we need to get Jesse a few more minutes. We need to get Cam a lot more minutes. Now, Cam comes in the game and gets 2 fouls as he checked in. So when he had 2 fouls when he checked in, and he got his 3rd one in the first half because the coach listened to the media and put a guy in with 2 fouls. Okay? Put him in with 2 fouls, and he got his 3rd almost immediately. And that really creates a problem for a kid going in the second half with 3 fouls, And I think personally, and I spent an hour with him yesterday, I think Cam Ward is a really important part of us moving forward because we're going to play some teams that are going to play small ball now. Rutgers is small ball. Minnesota's small ball. Now UCLA has gone to small ball. So that creates even a more reason that we need a guy that's athletic enough to be able to cover 3s and 4s out on the floor, and that's what Cam Ward can do, will do. He's a phenomenal rebounder. He's got to improve his offensive skills. That's what the offseason will be for. Right now, he's got to do the things to help us win. Jesse, on the same side, what Jesse can bring to the table, he can make shots, and just hasn't gotten the reps. I have not lost any faith in Jesse, but I am looking to win games right now. And because where Jesse's different than most big guys, to me, most big guys like basketball. They have to learn to love it and then live it. That is the process of 90%, including Coop. Jax was a little different, including many guys I had. I used to tell Paul Davis that all the time. Jesse loves and lives it right now. As a freshman, he did. And so his growth is going to be better, and it can be better in the off season than even the on season. So I think Jesse moving forward would be fine. I do think we could use Jesse right now because, as I said that about the first round games, we could get into second and third round games where we could play a Purdue or a Nebraska that starts 2 bigs or Michigan that starts 3 bigs. So it changes a little bit. So I think Jesse's still very important. I think immediately Cam's more ready to play, and that's why I'm putting a little more in Cam.
The other one, obviously you would have loved to have Caleb Ball this year. And I'm just wondering, you don't usually get a kid, though, who's where he is, who gets a red shirt. Is there value in what he's going through, experiencing the program without playing?
150%. I mean, his eyes are this big every day. He's very good. What he's taught me already, some guys can be on the scout team and some guys can't. And that sounds stupid because it's the scout team. Because you don't understand that some days, like right now, like if we are fortunate enough to win on Friday, we'll get back to the hotel 12:30 at night. Scout team will have to pick up whatever team we're playing's offense for that 9:30 in the morning meeting and walk through and everything. You've got to be very cerebral. He picks up stuff very well. We didn't know how that would go. He's a freak. He's coming back from an injury that he probably should be starting to practice next week, and he's been practicing for 5 weeks, I think, 4 weeks. Yeah, at least, maybe 6. So that's a plus. He's built like Adonis. That's a plus. He can shoot the ball. That's a plus. But I think the experience he's getting that he didn't have in the NCAA tournament, the Big Ten tournaments, the pressure of the Michigan State game, I think will be priceless. And I do talk to him about that as he's going through it, because that'll make the process and the journey next year, I think, have more substance to it.
Hey, Tom, it's ironic you mentioned your mentors earlier, talking about your mentees, not that you don't have enough on your plate with prep. You got to give one call for comfort and one call for encouragement. You can talk about what that's like for you and your assistants and how they're faring right now.
I had two comfort ones, Stan and DJ, and one exciting one before the game, and then, of course, after the game with Monty, playing today to go to an NCAA tournament, playing today to bring basketball back to the University of Detroit. I'm proud of him. I'm excited for him. There's nothing like the first kiss, as you guys remember, if you can remember back that far. But that's the way it is when you go to the NCAA tournament. It's that first time it happens, and it's exciting. None of those kids, I don't think, have been part of an NCAA tournament. Monty has as an assistant, but now to do it as a head coach the first time, some of his staff, he was bouncing off the walls this morning, and rightfully so. So I'm excited, and what I'm really, 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 really proud of, it's been if you follow DJ at all, not just to stick up for him, but there hasn't been a guy that went through more injuries and things that he went through. And to be honest with you, got caught with 2 or 3 players that left, one to Minnesota, that are playing at major colleges because they didn't have the money to do things. That's what's going to happen with this NIL stuff, and it's going to hurt some of those people. But who was there last night? DJ. He was there. That speaks volumes, I think, about DJ first and foremost, because when you get let go, I've had a lot of friends that have been let go. My best friend, Mariucci, would be here this weekend. He was let go more than a couple times as an assistant and as a head coach. You want to crawl in a hole, you want to do this and that. DJ, so I'm proud of a lot of people, my own players, this and that, but I'm really proud of DJ because when I called Monty last night, DJ had just got there. And then when I talked to him this morning, DJ was in the film session. And how cool is that, I think, for our program, that hopefully they got something from here on what family means. But it's cool for Monty because when you're a head coach, your staff means a lot to you. But another head coach's ear is a little bit better for you, and to have him there. But for DJ to do that, brings tears to my eyes because I unfortunately don't know myself how hard that is because it hasn't happened to me because I've been blessed with good players and good administration. But I've had many good friends, including my best friend in the world. And my second best friend is Mike Garland, and I had it happen to him. So I have an appreciation what it's like to get back on a horse and ride down to Indy and support his guy that he worked for, and so that's pretty cool. I wish I was glued into the TV last night. I took my 2 hours away from my prep, and I'd kind of love to go down there tonight. I'm going to be recruiting a little bit, and I I got a team I got to prep for, but I will find a way to watch 3/4 of that game tonight because I feel like I'm playing in the game. You know, like Coach Monty, he worked for me. This is a great deal for him, and it's really a great deal for the city of Detroit. You know, that's what I think. I mean, I've told you guys all along, when the teams in our state are better, our city's better. You know, when the Lions are better, Detroit's better. When the Pistons are better, Detroit's better. I believe that. I believe that. And now, you know, back in the Dick Vitale days, in fact, one of the things I'm going to do today is call Dick and tell him, hey, basketball's back at the UD, you know. And I got a chance to speak down there at one of his functions at the end of the summer. And Isaiah Thomas was there, and I think John Long, some of the people that had played there, or some of the people that have been part of the Detroit thing. And it's cool, you know. I mean, I hope people appreciate it and jump on board. So, good question.
I wanted to go back to Cam Ward. I'm wondering, when you talk to him, there's not any self-doubt in Cam Ward, and you can tell looking at him. Yeah. And I wonder if that's something when you are looking at the players you recruit, how much does that factor in? Because Jeremy's got it. You know, it feels like Jordan Scott has it in some ways.
I think what happens to a lot of these players now is Raymar Morgan, you know, I was talking to him in my office yesterday, and he said, you know, do you ever ask a player what his expectations are when you get him? After he's been there a while, you know, like after the summer, that should be, shame on Tom Izzo, that should be one of my things in my fall meeting. You know, so what did you expect when you got here? And what are your goals now that you've had a summer to play with the guys you play with and kind of figure out where you are? Because everybody expects to be one and done. I mean, I'm just telling you. I mean, the only one that didn't, God bless him, was my son, because I told him every day he wasn't that good, you know. He was the only one that didn't expect to be one and done, you know. Hell, I told you, I got managers that think they're one and done. It's just the nature of the beast. It's what's supposed to happen. You're in an AAU event. You're a good player, you know. You can go and do that. So I think kids get reality hits with most of them. Probably 95% of them. And then you got to work your way back. But I think, in fairness to Cam, you know, I sat there with him and went through all his games, you know. And, of course, the Arkansas game was a big game for him. Did that screw him up? A couple games later, he hurts his hand that he's in a brace for a month and couldn't practice for a week. And then when he did practice, could never work on his shot because he couldn't cock his hand. And I think you see a mountain of a man out there, a well-built, you know, strong guy. He's a very intelligent guy. Both his parents are coaches, so he's a very basketball cerebral guy. But that was how would you like to score that many points and rebounds, and all of a sudden, you know, the world changes on you? That's an adjustment. What I think he forgot, he still can defend and rebound. You know, maybe another bad job. I should have brought Morris and his cast down with him, and, you know, to teach him that, you know, Morris couldn't guard. He couldn't guard my mother. He couldn't guard my dad, and my dad isn't with us anymore, okay? But when he broke his hand and had the cast on, he learned to play defense. He learned that he had to rebound. And then when he came back and then the other things started coming his way, he became a great player. Well, Cam can't shoot it as well. He can't work on it. He hasn't been able to. You're not changing that now. But what he is he's a monster rebounder, and he's a very good defender. And right now we could use those two things. Plus, he can put on the floor a little bit and get the things. So I don't think he lost any confidence. I think you get disappointed. You know, you think, well, and then you start saying to yourself, okay, well, I got next year, you know. And that is one thing that I really stress in my meetings with kids, you know. Like Coop said to him, I took Coop, and Cam spent some time yesterday afternoon, and Coop said, you know, that, man, I played 6 minutes a game as a freshman. You're playing like 16, even with your injury. And he said, I played on a not very good team. you're playing on a top 10 team. And you don't want to wait till next year, because next year's not promised, as they say. This year is promised right now. We're here in the present. And so what we decided is, you got to do what you can do to help this team win, and then take those skills you have, add your offensive skills in the summer, because that kid's going to play a lot next year, as we all know. So I felt good about it. It's, again, one of the fun things you get to do. I guess more your line of work than mine, but I do get to do that and try to dig into guys' heads and figure out what they're thinking and how they're feeling. It's hard to do. It usually, in the medical world of that, takes sessions after sessions. And if we want to spend all our time on that, we got so many other things we got to do. So I think I think Cam's going to do well in this. I really do. I think he gets it. I think Cooper and Jackson have been so good in helping those guys. Jesse too. But I think you're both right. I think we need Jesse and Cam to give us some solid minutes, whatever those minutes are, and Cam's will probably be more. But I think if we're going to do well in this tournament, I think that has to happen. How's that? Would you come for the ride, no questions, or what the hell is wrong with you?
I like to listen.
Learn to listen, listen to learn. Did you learn anything?
I learned a lot.
Okay. Anybody else? Yeah.
I'm just wondering, when you went through the film and everything after Sunday's game, how the players reacted when you addressed maybe the lack of adherence to the scouting report and some of the breakdowns that you went over and so forth. That's some of my bads, I would imagine, but might have been some veteran players that did that. What was your takeaway on that when you went back over it?
As I looked at it, I'm still a little disappointed. I talk about our bigs being up. One of the reasons our bigs have to be up, because our guards are not pressing up and doing as good a job on those ball screens as we need done. And I have addressed that with them. The second thing is, if you put a regular player, a really good player, you put Michael Jordan in the corner and he hits 5 out of 10 threes, he's considered an all-star. Give Yaxel credit. I mean, he hits 5 out of 6 threes. I mean, some of it was he made the shots. He made, I don't know if they were tough shots. I thought that was one of the things they did well. When you got a guy in there like Mara, you got to guard him differently, and Johnson too, and it gives him a little more freedom out there. But he made the shots. And so probably if we play somebody this weekend, they make 5 out of 6 threes, we're in trouble. Should we have guarded them better? That was my question, and some of that was on penetration and kickouts. 2 times in that game they got 3 rebounds and hit a 3 or got a 3-point play on them. When the game, whether I want to make myself feel good or reality, but we were ahead in the 60s, and then it was 73-70, and Jeremy had just missed the front end of a one-on-one. It could have been a 1 or 2 point game. We did enough things against, I told you, I thought they were the best team right now. Best depth, best team. They play defense. They're different than some. And I think we're right there with a chance, and we didn't get it done down the stretch. They did. But yeah, we're going to learn from a few mistakes we made. A couple were, we called them flybys, where they go by and try to, contest a shot. And instead of coming back, they just fly by. And then Mara's so good, so big, he just outlets it length of the court. In the first game, they had about 4 of them on us. They had 1.5 in this game. And we took one bad shot that left to a breakout that we talked about and showed them on film. But the bottom line is, you have to play great. I mean, we don't argue that there was a talent difference. You have to play great. You can play great and beat them. We've done it my whole career with different teams we've played. But if you don't play great, that other team can't play great. Well, they shot the daylights out of it, at least he did. And that, he was their best player. He made shots. I thought the other key that I was really, really disappointed in us is we knew what Gale could do, and we know what he doesn't do as well. And he beat us on what he can do. And to get 15 free points on a guy averaging 7, that was a big part of it also. So you got to give him credit, but you do got to give us some blame. Does that make sense?
I wanted to ask you, we talked so much about the reserves and their need to give you guys minutes. I'm wondering about the 4 guys, your core 4, and the minutes that they've been playing, and just, one, how you've navigated it, having that many guys play that many minutes and stretches, and 2, how they're handling it heading into the postseason, up from a fatigue standpoint, from a mentality standpoint.
Well, they're excited. Everybody wants to play 41 out of 40 minutes. They're happy as 10 men. But I think it's the one difference in last year's team and this year's team. But ironically, if you look at our defensive numbers, they're about the same as last year. If you look at our offensive numbers, they're a little better than last year. If you look at our depth numbers and our bench numbers and our strengthened numbers, it's not as good. It hurt when Caleb went down. He would have been our top guy coming in. It hurt more when Devine went down. You can say what he does do, doesn't do, but that hurt a little bit. It hurt when Cam went down. So that's 3 guys. That would have probably been 6, 7, and 8th men, and then the Jessies or somebody else comes in. Denham comes in, and you're in a different position. But for me right now, I might play Denham more minutes just so that I can rest those guards a little bit, because I know he can guard somebody. Just play different for 2 minutes, and that's why I think Cam's so important to us right now. And I think he'll answer that call, because he's done it against some of the best competition he's played against. I think he just had sometimes, as but the rest of us don't. And when you deal with people's minds, you can either hammer on them every day to get it through, or sometimes that compounds the problem, and you have to figure out pushing or pulling or hugging or kissing or what you do. And Cam is not a quiet guy. Like, he'll talk to you. You can have a really intelligent conversation with him, but he's not a complainer either. The advantage of a complainer is he's unhappy. He's upset. The guy that doesn't complain, you're guessing. You're not sure, and you're trying to, talk about it. So I just felt good at where Cam is as far as how he responded and questions he answered. I think he's a very good player, and he's going to be a great player. I think he went through something he never went through. Never been injured. Especially never injured after an 18-10 game, never injured. Didn't get to play in some of the big games he wanted to play in, at least in the way he could. Didn't get to improve as much on his game, and probably focused too much on the missed free throws and the offensive part, because we're all human, and we think, guys think they get dates because of the points they score, not the rebounds they get. They think they get dates because of the points they score, not the people they guard. You know what? If you guard people and you do well and you win, a lot of people think differently of you, and that's what I tried to convince him of, and so I feel good about it.
Tom, does Monty ask you for advice?
I gave him some today. It was deep. It was personal. I'm going to tell you, hey, Monty, win the frickin' game tonight. Make a lot of sense? That's all I told him. Just win the game, because it puts you in a different category. You get to the NCAA tournament. There's coaches that go a lifetime and never get there. And I mean damn good coaches. So, no, he was with me, as a player, as a coach, probably 15, 18 years, He knows what we do. He knows what he does. He's done a good job doing what he does, and he's done a good job with this team. They've grown. And he told me last summer he thought they could be pretty good if everybody stayed on the same page, you know, keep the distractions and dirt bags away from them. And I think he understands that. And when you're in the heart of Detroit, with a lot of Detroit, it's even harder. So hats off to him and his staff, and go Titans tonight, you know. Let's get another team in the state in the NCAA tournament. That's the way I look at it, and especially one that's part of the family. So, yeah, I'm excited for him. Good enough? Thanks, guys. See you in Chicago.
I think that tough schedule helped too early on.